moment, and this moment happens because our nation needs transformation and revival. You were there and watched it and witnessed it. At this point, we ask you to be calm and keenly listen to the Cllr bearer of the Liberian People's Party, Councillor Tiawon Gongloe, flanked by his vice Cllr bearer before running mate, Dr. Emmanuel K. Yuri Yabalo. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, after he has spoken, there will be few questions. Feel free to ask any question you wish. Thank you very much.
Okay, you witnessed it today. We are organized an anti-corruption parade, called the Broom Parade, organized by the Liberian People's Party and auxiliary groups and civil society groups who are in support of anti-corruption campaign under the banner of the anti-corruption campaigner. You saw that some people, some miscreants came, we don't know where they came from, but they started throwing stone, and we're calling upon the government to investigate and bring those people to justice, because we wrote the Minister of Justice for this occasion. We wrote a follow-up, so we expected protection because we are entitled to protection than any citizen, any group of people in this country. So I had a prepared anti-corruption day speech that was not delivered because of the disruption. Therefore, I want to read it because I want it to be published on this day. It was supposed to be delivered near the vicinity of the Providence Baptist Church where the Declaration of Independence was signed. That was why we picked that place. It didn't happen, but I'll read this speech. My fellow Liberians, we have gathered here today to show the world that a majority of the Liberian people are against corruption. We want the world to know that corruption is the root cause of the high level of poverty in Liberia and the underdevelopment of Liberia. Today, as a result of corruption, Liberia is the 10th poorest country in the world, according to the International Monetary Fund and World Economic Outlook, April 23rd data published in the July 17, 2023 edition of the Global Finance magazine. No Liberian needs to be told what corruption is doing to most Liberians. Most Liberians are victims of corruption. Today, most parents cannot feed their families due to corruption. Most children are out of school because corruption has made their parents so poor that they cannot afford to send them to school. As a result of corruption, government clinics and hospitals lack the most basic medicines to save the lives of the Liberian people. Government hospitals and clinics have largely become prescription centers and death traps. Because of corruption, most rural parts of Liberia are not accessible because of bad roads. Yet, President George Weah likes to boast that he has built more roads in Liberia than all the presidents of Liberia, from President J.J. Roberts to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. This is not true. What is true is that the president has built more private houses for himself than all the past presidents of Liberia, from J.J. Roberts to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. In less than 8 months of becoming president, George Weah built a multi-million-dollar complex comprising 47-unit state-of-the-art buildings for himself and continues to build more, while the people are suffering more than ever before in the history of Liberia. Based on his example, many top officials of Weah's government are building huge buildings while poverty is increasing in Liberia. Today, as if they have not suffered Liberians enough, they are taking and withholding the little US dollars the country has and dumping huge quantities of Liberian dollars on the Liberian market. As a result, the exchange rate between the US dollars and Liberian dollars is climbing, as they do prices of essential commodities are also climbing up. Just a few months ago, the exchange rate was 150 Liberian dollars to $1 US. But it is now 188 Liberian dollars to $1 US, and in some places 190 Liberian dollars. If this trend continues, the rate will be above 200 Liberian dollars to $1 US before October 10, election day. The level of poverty will become much higher than anyone can predict at the moment. Today, there are more sellers than buyers in most marketplaces all over Liberia. Therefore, the sellers are getting poorer and poorer every day. According to the Transparency International 2022 Corruption Perceptions Index, CPR, Liberia was ranked 142 out of 180 countries. This ranking means Liberia has now joined the list of countries that are significantly worse when it comes to corruption globally. We must show to the world on October 10, 2023, that we Liberians are against those who are making us to suffer. In 1997, we sang the song, quote, "You kill my ma, you kill my pa, I will vote for you." In 2017, we sang the song, quote, "You know book, you now know book, I will vote for you," unquote. This year, we must not sing the song, "You corrupt, you eat all our money, I will vote for you," unquote. Anyone who does that will be bringing too much suffering to Liberia, because nobody will have sympathy for Liberia anymore. The respect that Liberia had as the first independent republic in Africa has diminished because of corruption. Corruption has reduced Liberia as a nation to nothing and made the citizens of Liberia so poor that nobody respects us anymore. Under President Weah, Liberia has been placed among the 10 poorest countries in the world. What an achievement. Why should any Liberian of sound mind think about keeping a government in power that has made Liberians so poor that Liberia has been placed among the 10 poorest countries in the world? Corruption became a vampire under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government. But things were not as bad as they are today. Prices of basic commodities were not so high, and more people had a little more money to take care of their families. Today, corruption has become so bad that it has put Liberia virtually in the intensive care unit, ICU. Therefore, giving a second term to this government will be committing a national suicide. As we gather here, in a place where the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 26, 1847, I call on my fellow Liberians to join me to denounce corruption and all corrupt government officials. Commit ourselves to the noble dream of the founders of Liberia as contained in the Declaration of Independence, that Liberia will, quote, evince to all who despise, ridicule, and oppress our race, that we possess with them a common nature, and with them susceptible of equal refinement, and capable of equal advancement in all that adorns and dignifies man, unquote. Many other African countries are showing to the rest of the world that they are, quote, susceptible of equal refinement and capable of equal advancement, unquote. But Liberia The origin of this dream has done nothing to give meaning to this great dream. Liberia is naturally fit to make this great dream a reality if we Liberians choose a good and transformative leader. Liberia is a naturally rich country with fertile soil, diamond, gold, iron ore, and many other minerals, as well as a huge forest and a long coastline with sandy beaches, thereby giving Liberia sources of economic empowerment that are not available in many countries that are doing much better than Liberia. For all Liberians to attain maximum benefits from the income generated from the natural resources of Liberia, we must follow Article 7 of the Constitution of Liberia that says, the Republic shall, consistent with the principles of individual freedom and social justice enshrined in this Constitution, manage the national economy and natural resources of Liberia in such manner as feasible participation and the economic development of Liberia, unquote. But because those who should obey this law are corrupt, they have refused over the years to carry out this constitutional mandate. This situation has to change for Liberia to be a sweet land of liberty for all Liberians. Our children are entitled to completely free and mandatory education from kindergarten to 12th grade. Trade schools to develop their skills as carpenters, mechanics, tailors, etc. Liberians are entitled to an excellent health care system that saves lives with sufficient medicines, equipment, and other medical supplies. With Liberia being one of the 10th poorest countries in the world with the highest maternal mortality and infant mortality rates, our pregnant women and children under the age of 5, as well as Liberians above the age of 65, must be given free medical treatment with all government hospitals and clinics. It is the duty of the government to ensure food sufficiency in the country because no nation with hungry people can make progress. The people have a right to freedom of movement, and the government is duty-bound to build roads and to maintain them at all times. Today, these duties of the government of Liberia have been totally neglected. Yes, some Liberians have chosen to thank the current president for his leadership over the nearly 6 years, ignoring the massive failures of this government in building or maintaining roads in the interior parts of this country, improving health care, improving primary and secondary education, amongst other basic needs of the Liberian people. What a great deception. Our president claims to be the best administrator in the history of Liberia, yet his poor administration has placed Liberia amongst the 10 poorest countries of the world, with a huge national debt of over $2 billion, with virtually nothing on the ground to support this huge debt burden. He could not even succeed in getting Liberia to qualify for the African Cup of Nations, although he is the only president in the world that won the highest award in football. How can Liberians ever expect Mr. Weah to succeed in meeting any of his obligations in any other area when he cannot succeed in football, his area of expertise? All these failures are due to corruption stimulated by uncontrollable greed for money, selfishness, and a lack of patriotism. The president usually boasts that he has built more roads than all the presidents of Liberia combined. But, as I said earlier, this is far from the truth. The truth is that since 1847, He is the only president who has built more private houses for himself than all the presidents before him, including the interim leaders of Liberia. He calls himself by road medicine, but refuses to visit the interior roads during the rainy season. Last Saturday, when I was experiencing difficulty traveling on the by road to District Number 5, Rambasa County, with vehicles stuck in the mud less than 1 mile from Buchanan, the president was in Buchanan, riding on a road paved by his predecessor. We must reject corruption on October 10 this year by sweeping all the old and new corrupt politicians away from the government of Liberia. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. A better Liberia is possible. Without corruption, we can succeed and make Liberia a true land of, a true sweet land of liberty for all Liberians. Let me now conclude by calling on all Liberians to unite and get rid of corruption in Liberia, guided by the line of the second stanza of our national anthem, which says, quote, "In union, strong success is sure," quote. The Broom Revolution will succeed because all Liberians believe that a better Liberia is possible. I thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen of the press, with what you've heard, we will limit your questions to 5, right? I know you witnessed what happened today, and this is a speech that the standard bearer was to deliver today. You now listen to it. We'll give you electronic copies once we have your email addresses, right? So you can ask questions around what he has said. Thank you very much. And please call your name and your institution would like to identify. Let me identify you. Please, hold on. Please put your hand down. You. Your name, please.
All right, so Council, my name is Springs, and I report for Pram FM, and I also report for the US-based Focus on Liberia television based in America. I have a question for you. When you were reading your statement, you said Liberians should be prepared to sweep up all the past corrupt official or the old corrupt official on October 10. Who specifically are you referring to? That's 1. 2. We were covering your program up Asthma Street a few minutes ago, and we saw a group of people throwing stones and disrupted the entire program. What do you make of that? What do you think that may have come from?
Well, let me just say to the second part of your question before the first one, that this is one of the failures that I refer to. It is a duty of government to protect all citizens and institutions in this country, especially in a case where the government was put on notice that we'll be having this activity. So the government neglected its duty, and some people came and disturbed our program. So it's one indication of the negligence of duty that I referred to in my speech. And I hold the government responsible because they did not protect us. And the government cannot protect us. When you think about the ordinary people who are unknown, it is clear that under one party in this country, and even under the PRC and all other regimes that have come, for example, Judy Bryan government said that there will not be business as usual, and there was multiplication of poverty, of corruption under that regime. Then the party came and said it has zero tolerance for corruption, but it admitted to all that under the Union Party regime, corruption became a vampire. Under this government, Liberia has been placed among the 10 poorest countries in the world. All of these are not good for Liberia, and those who were part of this government and brought this kind of situation on us and brought extreme poverty on us through corruption should not be voted for.
Okay. Please identify yourself.
My name is Ahmed Sherif, publisher of the Standard Time newspaper. When we were up here on National Street, we saw what happened, complete hooliganism on the part of Councillor. Councillor Gongloe, would you make a call to the government, which is led by President, for prosecution of what happened?
It is the duty of the government to prosecute, and I'm calling upon the government to have to investigate and bring those who are identified to have caused this hooliganism to justice.
Were you stoned in that process? We learned that you were stoned.
Well, no stone hit me, but some stone came in the direction of me and my running mate, and we managed to survive. But I know it was directed at us.
Okay, my name is Emmanuel Jebo from the New Dawn newspaper and Labrador Public Radio. Were you able to recognize some of those who intruded your rally, the camping rally?
No, from the place I was sitting, I couldn't see. I just saw the missile coming, the storm coming, and it seemed to have been coming from a place distance away from us.
But earlier we saw a parade of some students of the Student Unification Party. Yeah. Don't you think it may lead there to that disruption?
May have, but it's the obligation of the government to investigate. But from where I was sitting, I didn't see those students coming because there was, new press from other people blocked our view, so I didn't see them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so my name is Emmanuel Mopolo and I report for Cllr. Are you curious to know those people who that is interrupted your program? With the concept that you may not know or may not have the time to do that, the government, should have done it for you, but you are accused the government, of being responsible for it. Do you think the government is going to take you serious?
The government has to. The government was elected, and the president and everybody in the government took oath to obey, defend, and promote the Constitution and statute laws of Liberia. And the Constitution and statute laws require the government to protect you, to protect all of us, to maintain law and order. They have no choice. It's a legal duty that the government has to perform. And if the government does not do so, it will again be an evidence of neglect.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Lawrence Kamara. Your program was disrupted today. Does it in any way has the ability to honor your quest for the presidency?
No, it just showed that we are winning and those in power are threatened by the potential that we bear for winning. Someone said to me, oh, CDC put up a bigger crowd the other day. I said, we are not doing crowd competition here. They may win the battle in crowd, but we will win the war, which is winning the minds and hearts of the Liberian people who will then vote for us at the end of the day, because we are bringing this election not to be based on crowd competition, but it should be issue-based, and we are raising the issue that will elevate Liberia to where it should be.
Thank you.
Make Liberia a sweet land of liberty for all Liberians.
Thank you, Councillor Gongloe. My name is Kasim.
My question is, did you write the Ministry of Justice? And if you did, why didn't the government provide security for you?
We wrote the Minister of Justice, who incidentally was my classmate in the law school, graduated together. And then there was a follow-up letter written. I just called him in the presence of my running mate. And I said, Mr. Minister, we did not get police protection. And apparently, it appeared like he didn't receive the letter. But the letter was written by the chairman of LPP. So,
okay, I just MP to that question is that.
I just want to add my voice. Sorry, I have a call, but I just want to add my voice to what the leader has said. I think what happened today at our program, we condemn it in the strongest possible terms. It's a scare tactics in a way that you see a group of people are highlighting the core of an issue that is affecting the nation. And that program was then disturbed by unknown men who were planted in our program to do that. I think this is not the first time that program has been disturbed of that nature. It had been repeated under this government, and we want to call on the attention of the government to stop doing this, because this is not free speech. This is suppression of free speech. When people want to get up there and speak their mind, let them see what is on their mind. That program was beautiful. We heard a young lady read a very beautiful statement against corruption, in fact calling names of people who are indicted or who are sanctioned by the U.S. government, and calling for Liberia not to vote them into power, even stating that in terms to come, there's likelihood a good action might be taken against them. We saw that beautiful speech and everything was going well. It was just for the councillor
to come and read his statement he just read to us when this disturbance came. I saw the heavy stone came along our way. Thank God for our security and everybody around. Some of the group, I have seen pictures and they brought somebody in the office. One young man was badly hurt. His back, his head, there's a big sore on him right now. He's at a clinic undergoing treatment. Our young lady was hit on the back. She's currently crying with a bite from the rock. This is not acceptable. This is violent against people. When peaceful citizens gather to petition their government, to petition their people on a specific plaque, allow that to go on. Don't disturb it. Don't cause chaos. What happened today, it was chaotic, and there are people citizens are going undergoing pain right now, and that is not acceptable. We're calling on the government to investigate what's happening. We can hold them liable because we wrote them twice. Throughout our parade, we did not see any single police officers trying to direct traffic. When we gathered over there were no police officer. So they know our existence as a people. With the honor of the Constitution, they gathered together and petition what we were doing. They know it. And as a result, we got a kind of chaos that took place today. That is unacceptable, and we are calling on the Justice Minister again. It is his responsibility to show cause to what happened today and bring the perpetrators to justice. So I want to say that was bad, but that would not deter us. We are determined to liberate the country of corruption, and we are determined, and this is not going to stop us. We'll be there. We'll get it again. We'll get it again and again. We will continue until if you want to take the life out of us, you have the will to do so. But justice will prevail, and Liberia will go out of corruption, and this country will be free, and it will be liberated. And the citizens of the country, they will be able to gain their rightful place among the community of nations. Their children will not suffer. That people in government will not take the money all onto themselves. They will not do that. Oh, go and see what are those that are in the House of Representatives, the Senate. Go and see the structures they are building today, the ministers. Go and see the properties, the private properties they are developing today. Go and run, do the statistics and see the money they are stealing from the government. And look at the hospitals. Look at no drugs. Look at the schools. No chairs when you travel all around the country. Where this is going. And people will get up and they say they're thanking people for good thing. What is a good thing to boast of? We're speaking to them. We're speaking to their conscience. Let them come to themselves and realize the poverty they are entrapped in. And that must end. And sending people to disturb our program, to throw right at us, want to hurt us, hurt our supporters, it's not going to stop us. It's just the beginning. Thank you very much. And this cowardly conduct is not going to deter us, as already just said. We are still in our principles, we are still ideologically, and we are still by love of this country. We are so strong that nothing like that will deter us, because our determination is to change Liberia's story for the better, and nothing will discourage us. Let me say to those in power right now that it is strange. Right in this conference room, the likes of Moba Malu, Jefferson Koji, Carlesco, all these people in government benefited from my free legal service here, you know, because of my commitment to building a free society, a democratic society, defending the rights of people. How can under their regime these kind of things be happening? They are under a moral duty to make sure that these kinds of things do not happen, because they were victims of these kind of reckless criminal conduct.
So we'll take 3 more questions for the benefit of the Vice Senator. He's just spoken. Probably you have some questions to direct to him. Just 3, and then we are off.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Kasim, and I report for Fox TV. After being notified, you said you notified the Justice Ministry, and then yet your program was disrupted. What could be the party's next course of action?
Well, the Justice Ministry has an obligation to protect us, so we call them to their obligation. We know there is a lame dog government. They are leaving October, the people will put them out of office, but they still have a responsibility to perform their duties. That's all we can say. It would be, and if they fail to do anything, we will elect the Liberian people and say, these are people who are not prepared to protect the lives of people. Because it could have happened to you journalists who were on the scene. You could have been wounded too. And therefore, don't you vote for them because they are demonstrating reckless disregard for the duty.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so thank you. So my name is S. Afonso Dewo. I vote for the Watkins TV. So, Councilor, I want to ask you this question. After the letter was sent to the Ministry of Justice and they refused for the first time not to reply, perhaps the second time not to reply, did you call a press conference to let the Liberian people know who you think you are going to serve as executive, to letting them know that yes, indeed, the government has refused my plight? So, Liberian people, that is it.
It's not
inform the Liberian people?
It's not necessary. You probably could have done that, but it's not necessary. The only thing that is required, because the right to assemble and to march is a constitutional gift. It's given by the Constitution. So, but you need to inform the government that you be there for your protection. Even without informing government, when people get in the street, the police on a duty to meeting or order to protect them, that's their normal duty. All right? So I didn't need to do that.
And then last question.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
Grab Thompson, my name. Don't you think by not receiving a reply from the Justice Minister indicate that something might happen today? And what are you trying to say, or maybe what will be a stand to ensure that this incident does not reoccur?
Well, these kind of things have happened many times. You know, I remember as interim President Moja, we had a program a few years ago at the Julia Gibson, and it was disturbed like this by some young people. And the police did not come in. We called the police, they came long after everybody had gone home. So, but this type of neglect is not correct. It's actually based on ignorance, I would say. Because when people ignore history, you know, they become victims of history, and history is everything about them. So these kinds of conduct of government happening here in the 50s, they happened in the 60s, they happened in the 70s, they happened in the 80s, they happened in the 90s. Why should people be doing that? And most often, the government that do it become, members of the government that do it become victims. Think about Jenny Scott and Grady Allison. You people who were young, they were czars here, but see how they ended their lives. So people should think twice. All we can do is to call upon them to perform their duty and to highlight, to conscientize the Liberian people of the high level of negligence by them.
Yeah, so please, gentlemen and ladies, so you know, the standard bearer and the vice standard bearer are flanked by very important people of our party and our political, you know, I should say movement. So far left is Dr. Johnson Chipley, who is the national campaign manager of the Gongloe campaign.
Of the Liberian People's Party.
Of the Liberian People's Party. Right sitting close to me is the chairman of the Liberian People's Party, Mr. J. Yankwese. And just next to me is Mr. Vendela Patrick, who is running for the Senate of Monrovia County. I always forget the name, sir.
Prince Kojo Davis.
Okay, so Mr. Davis is also running for a seat in Monrovia, right? District 17. I mean, so you know. This is Ellis Kona, also District 5, Monrovia County. Why are you getting more? Last year for political affairs. And this is Mr. Fofana Dasana, right? Amara M. Fofana, running for seat District 12, Monrovia County. So the room is filled with a lot of aspirants, right? And yes, sir.
One quick information that the chairman had given me. The area we had the program that would discharge your renter for $600 today for the Monrovia City Corporation. He just showed me the receipt. Right, $600. The area, that little area we sat, they charged us $600 to rent it for the 2 hours we were supposed to be there. So just to let the press know. Yeah, so the city mayor was aware that we're having a program there. They charged us $600 and we did pay, so the receipt is here. So they're quite aware of what was going on. And this is to highlight, just to see the circumstances leading to what happened today, just to also inform you. That particular place was sitting, we rented it for $600 to have that program, the money was paid today.
So lastly, no question, lastly, that's Miss Jessica A. Morris, the team leader of this entire campaign today, this entire march, and she's flanked by her co-workers that she knows very well. Jessica, you want to talk about your staff?
Okay, so I'm Jessica Incha Morris, the chairperson for the anti-corruption campaigners. And today what happened, one of our colleagues got wounded. She was hit on the back with a rock and she's still complaining from backache. Well, this is just to say that whoever that claim that entire thing is against this message, because probably there are some of those who are benefiting from the system of corruption in this country at the detriment of the Liberian people. So our gathering, there was a disturbance to them. So that was why that particular act took place. Yeah. But we want to tell them that we are not deterred. We will continue pushing until we see a clean and better Liberia. Thank you.
So to make further clarity on the communication to the Minister of Justice, we wrote the Minister of Justice on the 14th. And then we make additional follow-up. If you can take this number, it's one Jane Stier received the letter on behalf of Minister Musa Dean, the Attorney General of the country, and gave us this number. And then we, since the 14th, we've been making consistent follow-up and engagement in making sure that the Minister of Justice is aware of today's march and that we should have security on ground. So you can have the numbers to verify to see that we take every necessary engagement possible to make sure that the state sent national security to protect us as a citizen, but that was not adhered to. So that was just for the clarity.
On that note, we want to thank you very much, and please come whenever we call. You are our partners in this business.
The first letter was written on 26th of June.
If you have interest in the letter,
14 was the follow-up. Just send it to our WhatsApp.
So thank you very much. And that's the end of the press conference.